This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by $1 Million Crolla, Anthony Crolla over Zoom. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm good, Andy. Really good, thank you, mate. You okay?
I'm
Even
good.
better now the Reds have just got bragging rights.
I was going to
Now
say,
yeah, but really good.
Not quite sure how you pulled that one out of a bag earlier, mate.
Mate, I'm telling you, I didn't fancy us today, but now it was good. We can vouch for it today.
No, it's good to see you in good spirits, and of course, Man United winning, making things even more sweeter for you. But let's obviously move on to the boxing talk. One of the reasons behind this interview, main reason really, was to discuss your role now as a trainer, and in particular, your work with Rhiannon Dixon and James Moorcroft. Start off with Rhiannon, because I've seen a lot of people praising you recently over social media, Anthony, for your work as a trainer now. None more so than Chris Lloyd, who said he saw your corner work with Rhiannon down at the VIP gym. So just talk to me about your work with Rhiannon.
I didn't know that, but I appreciate that. You know, Chris is a good lad. So it means he's seen us with Alex the other day. Alex has been sparring, Carl Frampton, and obviously they're doing a great lot. But in fact, I was saying that I'm gonna watch it tonight, yeah, I watched it tonight, actually. They're doing sort of a little behind the scenes. I'll look to catch it tonight or something. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. And I've always enjoyed the coaching side of things. I mean, even when I was professional and was in world title fights, but well before that, right from starting off, I'd always do a little bit with the amateurs. But it's the two very different games, the amateurs and the pros. But I've sort of obviously started working with professional fighters now. You mentioned there, obviously, Rhiannon Dixon, James Moorcroft, Alex Dilmagana, and Jake James. So there, there's 4 there that I've got now. We'll just say it was only one fighter at first who was sort of helping out, and then it just sort of snowballed a bit. And I think it can again, but obviously I don't want to say, I'd love to take more fights on, but I couldn't give them the time that I feel like they deserve. So we'll just see. I think, do you know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. And obviously I help Joe out, assisting Joe, which I feel really lucky to do that. Sort of I'm a part of, the old team that I was a part of, sort of I'm helping alongside them, helping coach them. So that's really good. I think that played a huge part in me not missing the side as a professional fighter. But no, I'm enjoying it, and I say it all the time. I just want to get the best out of my fighters, so they can go away, and whether it be at the end of their career or the end of the time with me, and they go, you know what, you got the best out of me.
I spoke to Joe yesterday, and I spoke to him about your role now as a trainer, and he said, he thinks you appreciate more so how much more difficult it can be as a trainer because you've got less time for yourself. Can you hear me?
Andy, sorry, I lost you then, mate. Sorry, you spoke to Joe yesterday, and
yes. So yeah, I spoke to.
He thinks that I appreciate, and then I lost you there. I'm really sorry.
No, that sounded and I'll pick that one back up. I spoke to Joe about kind of your role now as a trainer, and he said he thinks you appreciate it more so as a trainer now in comparison to when you used to fight, because you realize just how much more demanding it can be compared to being a fighter, because you lose more of your time.
Massively. I thought, when I was done, I thought I'd have loads of free time. I'm out, the house more than anything. Like it's hectic, I'm up and down motorways. And then there's different training times. Obviously, something like Jake, for instance, he can't train till after 4:30, 5 o'clock because he's got work. It's it's tough. But I love it, and I can't wait for the nights to start back. And then obviously because I still help out with the amateurs, they've not been in, but they're going to be back in soon. So yeah, I think I might as well put my bed in the gym, really, to be honest.
Talk to me about your work with Rhiannon, Anthony. She's certainly somebody who causing a bit of a positive storm over social media, because I'm continuing to see, different articles, different video interviews with her, a lot of attraction being built towards her, an interest in her career. Talk to me about her.
Do you know what, Andy? What happened? I was in Portugal last. When was it? Anyway, well, I started working with him last August. Steve Wood rang me, and he said I knew James from sort of doing bits of you were doing strength work in Wigan with Martin Cullen, and James used to come in the total fitness then. I'd always chat to him, and Steve Wood had rang me while I was over there. It was like, and I remember I was up early in the morning, probably nursing a bad hangover, and he mentioned it to me about James and Rhiannon, and I'd met Rhiannon, but I'd not saw a lot of her. But I'd heard good things about her, but I'd not seen a lot. I've only said about, they was looking for a coach. They'd gone separate ways with Lee Blundell, and that was it. So I said, listen, a lot of it was, I said, the least can do, and they've asked over us, he's given the time, and I said, Steve, we'll do a few days, and at the time I didn't have a gym, so we used Steve's gym, so we've done the week, and I said to them straight away, I said, listen, do the week together, see how you feel, and I'd always say that to a fighters, go and see a few coaches and see what works best for you, and I won't be offended if you feel that someone else is a better fit than you. I think that's how it should always be, especially when a fight is turning over. But at any point in the career, and after a session or two, we gelled really well, and they said that they wanted to, they'd love me to coach them, and I was taken back by that, and I was thinking at the time, didn't even know if I was taking more fighters, but I was really enjoying it with them, and I thought, if they can do everything what I'm asking them to, which they was, I know it was only a weekend, but I could see the determination and sort of how dedicated they were. So I thought, how could I not try and do the best for them? And I honestly really, really enjoyed it. I mean, we've not had a fight together, and I think you're talking about Rhiannon, wasn't you? So it's like about her first, but genuinely, I'm very, very excited about her. I believe you look at Rhiannon, and it's scary to think she's had no amateur experience. She's had 7 white collar fights, and she's had 2 professional fights. So she's come from that, and I think for that kind of experience or lack of experience to be, now she's inspiring with, she'll come to gym with Tasha, she's around with Tasha, she's done some great rounds with Chantal Cameron the other day. She has no business being anywhere near the ring with them sparring, and she's giving a good account of herself, those girls will say, and I'm thankful sort of for those girls bringing her on, with those rounds. But for someone who's had 7 white collar fights and 2 professional fights, it's crazy. So obviously I was, when I got her, obviously, Lee had done a great job. I just tried what I thought. I just wanted to get her moving her feet a little bit more. And Andy, like I say, I genuinely believe it on the night Shield. I've got massive, really high hopes for her, and it scares me. I don't want to start, making daft predictions when, like again, she's had no amateur experience and she's had 2 professional fights. But I really think, we've seen what the women's game's like, and it's growing. And she's got the story, Rhiannon's a lovely girl. She doesn't look like, your stereotypical boxer. She's, on the front line, key worker, the NHS, the pharmacist on like COVID wards and stuff like that. And it's a great story. And I always say, I think, and I've said to her, listen, your story alone, that will get you your chance. You will get your chance soon, but it'll be a talent that keeps her there. And that's what I genuinely believe.
I've heard very positive things about her sparring exploits. You mentioned, Chantal Cameron there. I know she shared the ring with Tasha Jonas as well. World level operators.
That's it. And last week, Peter had been in touch with me over Savannah. Okay. And obviously she's much smaller than Savannah. So Savannah, she was holding back with the shots, but she was just getting used to the possible opponent that she might have, who's a short southpaw. But just her being around those girls, I just believe it can only rub off on her. It's like a little bit of sort of gold dust, being around your Tashas, being around your Chantal Camerons, your Savannahs. And then that's, I think, and it's sort of, I just want to get used to being around those girls, because that's where obviously I'd like her to go. And again, that seems crazy talking about it. Like, you've got to take your time to an extent, with her, and we will do. But hopefully, like I said, a chance will come on a big show soon. I really believe that. And when she does, she'll take it.
How far can she go? And I know you're saying you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but how far do you think she can go?
Mate, it's hard because, listen, we've seen in the women's game, you put, and this isn't disrespectful whatsoever, I'm not meaning to be. You put an handful of wins together, you're right in the firing line. You know, an handful of wins together, you sort of getting their titles on the line. A few more wins after that, you're looking at world titles, aren't you? Like I said, I'd love to get a few fights with her first, you know, sort of seen as learning fights. But she'll be when I think the time's ready for her to be let off the leash, she'll be in some great fights. And obviously, I don't want to dream of being disrespectful and like thinking, oh, I see girls who, you know, the potential. I think she's got the potential to go all the way. That's what I think. And it seems crazy me saying that. And I think sometimes I have to wind myself in because I think, you know, she's a girl. She's a girl who's had no interest in. She's been in the boxing a few years. But I just, that's the outfit I've got for her. She's an athlete, whether she's, you know, see like the S&C stuff she does with Tim. He's doing a fantastic job, but I see how she lifts weights, how she runs. She's an athlete. Whatever she does, whatever sport she does, she comes from. My brother's a rugby league player. Dad's a PE teacher. You know, she's from a sporting family. That's what I think. She's an athlete.
One great little story she told me last week, which I thought was funny. She said after one of her first spars, she came back to you in the corner and you just said to her, "Are you okay? How you feeling?" And she said she couldn't quite tell whether you were just asking for like a general conversation or you know, kind of getting ready to give her feedback.
Yeah, no, that's it. Because I think it's just getting to know your fighter as well. That's sort of probably where I'd like a few fights with her, and the same with my fighters, really, because obviously James, I've not had one with him yet. Jake, we've had one fight together. That was at 2 weeks' notice. So, and then obviously Alex is coming up. He's a lot more experienced, but you're getting to know your fighters, how they are in between rounds and stuff like that. And I think I always got told a long time ago, you've got to know when to. I always love the saying, like some fighters need the carrot, some need the stick. And I think you've got to sort of know when to, or you've got to know when to use it even. And that's the case. So I'm just getting to know my fighters, really.
Talk about your work with Alex then, because I always thought it was Joe who was the main man with Alex. Is it you who is actually going to be working?
Yeah, Joe, you know, he comes in, you know, the thankful of Joe, and we come in Bolton every you know, all week. Alex will sometimes go to mine, do bits of pad work and stuff. But you know, Joe, he's so like with you know, any pointers are out like that, and they're thankful for. And Joe, I'd always be, and he'll say things to me like, "Look out for this, look out for that," and I'll think, you know what, I missed that, or I missed that, or yeah, I'm seeing that as well. So I'm really thankful to, you know, just next to us to have Joe next to me, sort of. He can guide us a bit. Obviously, I'm my own man and I'm my own coach, but it's like I've got a fantastic teacher in him.
All right, and so I just want to quickly kind of whiz through the gym up in Bolton just before I leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Start off just with Callum Johnson. He obviously signed with Frank Warren a couple of weeks ago. Just talk to me about that news from your perspective and what you think's in line for Callum.
With CJ now, I'm just so happy he's back boxing. He's going to get a date very soon. I think they're going to announce it really soon. For me, there's someone who just deserves something from the sport, all the heartache, the ups and downs he's had with the sport. And anyone who knows Callum will tell you just what a talent he is. And listen, we've seen little bits of it in certain fights. It's been another 2 years, and I was just thinking, wow, it's another 2 years of inactivity. It's great. So I'm just glad he's got one. But he's looking great in the gym, and he's a great lad. So I don't know if there's anyone else out there, you know, who I'd love him to achieve that goal of becoming a world champion as much as CJ, you know, who's more deserving. So it's just good to see him back. He's happy now to look like he's got a fight date, and he's giving that extra little bit of a drive in the gym.
You've got both Anthony Yard and Lyndon Arthur who are signed with Frank. Do you think we could see Callum face one of those, or do you think he's looking beyond and just looking straight for that world scene?
But you know what? Possibly. The great fights, aren't there? I mean, I won't be made up if him and Lyndon end up meeting, because obviously I like Lyndon. He's a Manchester lad and he's a Moston lad. We grew up sort of similar spaces. So, but you know, I was dead happy for him when he won the Yardy fight. It was it was a great win for him and the whole Colliers to Moston gym. So hopefully they'll go a different. I was going to say they'll go a different path, but hopefully they'll meet for a world title or something like that. And listen, there's every chance, there's every possibility of that.
And of course, I'm sure you're ready for these questions. There's some rumours coming out of social media a couple of days ago that Joe Gallagher and Liam Smith had split. Obviously, I spoke to Joe yesterday, and Joe said he had no idea about it. He just saw what he saw of social media and until he saw Liam's interview and being contacted and what have you. Just kind of your thoughts on it all, or your knowledge on the situation.
Yeah, listen. You know, like Liam's a good mate of mine. Obviously, I'm with Joe in the gym near every day. It's just, listen, I think like since they've spoken, they're going to catch up when Liam's back. And I think things will get sorted then. And I think, listen, whatever happens, they've had a fantastic 10 years together. I'm not ruling out that they won't work together or whatever like that. They've had a fantastic, I think it's 10 years. It's around that anyway. Achieved the highest of highs, you know, world title fights, big, huge fights. The likes of Canelo fought over in Vegas. And they've had some great times. And if Liam does go over to, you know, decides to stay over in Los Angeles, it's something he's always wanted to do. I know that. I think Joe knows that as well. So he'd certainly wish him the best of luck. And that's it, really. I think I've seen it sort of blowing up on social media the other night, but I think a lot of it was gossiping. But that happens. Listen, I always say it, but a sport where a lot of, you know, not much more sort of manly things. Got to be careful saying that now, aren't you? But you know, getting punched in the head. There's a lot of, you know, bitching that goes on, and I think a lot of the rumors last time, you know, a lot of the stuff that was going out on social media wasn't true, but. Listen, them two lads will sort it out between themselves. And like I said, if Liam doesn't continue, Joe, they've had a great ride. Joe's really hungry in the gym, concentrating on the fights you are in the gym at the minute. And like I said, if Liam goes to LA, it's something he's always wanted to do. You get one career. And it's a short career. So you wish him all the very best. And like me, and Joe, I know, will be wanting him to win every single bit as much as whether he was in the corner or wouldn't.
I mean, and just a couple of fights which are coming up, which I want to get your thoughts on. Canelo Saunders, your thoughts? How does Billy Joe fare?
Yeah, listen, do you know what? With Billy Joe, I've seen him since a schoolboy and unbelievable skills, you know, feet. And on paper, obviously, I was there in Texas and in the corner with Callum and but you'd always, I was never like, as much as I fancy Callum to do the job, on paper, Billy Joe had the, probably stylistically, to cause Canelo more problems going off past fights, you know, looking at your Lara fights, your Trout fights. But you got to remember, Canelo's improved an awful lot since then. And listen, I think there's no denying, you've got to make Canelo a big favourite. And I think he is. And, you know, if you're going to ask someone, then I think it's hard to go against that. You know, going off recent form, how things are going. But I believe Billy Joe, we were speaking to Mark Tibbs the other day, and they've got a plan. They're going to have a plan. And it seems pretty certain. It's no secret that you expect Billy Joe to move and have Canelo struggling to pin him down and raiding him with shots. You know, 1-2 sharp shots, maybe punched in bunches at times. But I think I've said to you, obviously, when we wasn't in Bar Rojo in the hotel, we were talking Canelo, and it was just how good he defensively, like people going about power, strength, head movements, but just defensively all around, he's unbelievable to watch close up. I've said it a few times. Obviously, I was just gutted it was my friend who he looked so good against in Callum, but a very, very special, unique fighter and one of the very best, like, who I've seen close up in person.
Taylor Ramirez at 140. Anthony, your thoughts? Undisputed bout?
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. And I hope that Josh gets a bit of a crowd there who's allowed. It'd be great to see. I saw something like there's 1,000 tickets being kept aside for, for the Scottish. So 1,000 Scots in a room, in an arena will make enough noise for 10,000. So I hope to get that, or, with the COVID restrictions, people are allowed to fly out. I fancy Josh. Listen, Ramirez is a top fighter. But I just think sort of Josh is in unbelievable form at the minute. I thought the last fight was tight. I thought it was going to be a tricky night. Been told how heavy handed he was, and listen, it might have been something. Obviously, Josh caught him earlier. I think the Regis Progress fight, I think that was probably between 1 and 2 for me. And that's not like the Ramirez. I think he's a very, very good fighter. I might be proven wrong, but no, I fancy Josh to pull away in the second half of the fight and win on points pretty well.
And then just want to get your thoughts on Devin Haney and Haney-Linares. Some talk about that fight. Thoughts, if it does go ahead.
I can't wait. Do you know if it does get made? And listen, obviously I've got to back my mate Yorgi. But a lot will depend on what he's got left. It's interesting. Like you say, I know last time out he looked well, but obviously we're going off the fights with Cano. Yeah. He just got caught cold. Yorgi, it's happened before in his career. I say it all the time, not just because I've been in with him, but technically he's a brilliant fighter to watch. Yorgi, if you've got an amateur kid there, watch him. Watch how he does this. His rhythm. He's out in Japan a lot, and I always sort of like that work. I thought him and Ismail Salas was a brilliant partnership. Obviously that's not going ahead no more, but we'll see what happens. Devin Haney looks the real deal, doesn't he? I remember meeting him out in New York. Was it last year or the year before? And he was a big lightweight, and he's hardly put a step wrong so far. I think that's the night where I think it's one of the great fights to be made in the lightweight division. It's absolutely red hot. Other than the top 4 or the top 5 be fighting each other, that's possibly if they're not going to fight each other, you'd have to put Yorgi in as the guy you'd put him with any of the other ones, going off his past form. I think we find out a lot about Devin Haney that night, but listen, I get the feeling he always finds a way to win, doesn't he? You've got the feeling you get the feeling a bit Mayweather wrestler, he'll always adapt it. I think he's a lot cleverer than people will give him credit for.
Right, and it's 9:30 now on your Sunday night, and I'm sure you want to get some rest before a busy week ahead. I appreciate your time, mate. No, you too, mate. Listen, I appreciate your time. Look after yourself, and I'll hopefully be able to come and see you guys soon when everything.
I hope so, mate, and hopefully we're back at shows soon. It's it seems like there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now, doesn't there? 100%. So hopefully there'll be some shows soon. And there'll be another bubble. So, well, hopefully there won't be no more bubbles. I was going to say hopefully there'll be a bubble. Better be careful what I'm saying here on air, aren't I? But Texas is great, mate.
It was indeed. It was a fantastic week, mate. Listen, I appreciate your time. Look after yourself. And thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thanks, Andy. Nice one, mate.